Office, and I'm here with Agent Annie Mormon and Investigator Richard Russell, Richmond County Sheriff's Office. And were you with any departments prior to Richmond County?
No. This particular day started off, office hours and office work. So prior to the stop, it was actually an investigation into a narcotic sales subject. There's some complications with the CI and not following instructions and not following up on what they're supposed to do. Myself being part of that, along with Investigator Brown and Deputy Martinez. We'd set up for a takedown on a quantity of methamphetamine. Some mistakes were made on the CI's part. I was with the CI while some of these phone calls were made. Contact never happened. Shortly after the contact was broke with the CI and the target, this Tahoe was seen leaving that area rather abruptly.
Okay.
Investigator Brown followed it from the area around Vanderveer, up Highland Avenue. I don't know exactly which apartment building or any of that. I wasn't actually there with them when all that took place. Follows them up Highland Avenue and conducts a probable cause stop based on a tenant tag covering. It was an obscure tag. This was a group of people that were in the area where we were conducting our narcotics investigation, and then around the time frame where contact was broke with our CI and the target. Contact never happened. Broke with our CI and the target. As far as, did I know the people in the car?
Right.
No, I had no idea who was in the car.
Okay.
No, I had no idea who was in the car.
Okay.
No, I had no idea who was in the car.
Okay.
I was with the CI while some of these phone calls were made. I don't know exactly which apartment building or any of that. I wasn't actually there with them when all that took place. Contact never happened. Broke with our CI and the target. It is probably important to note that I did overhear the phone call with the CI and the target. Basically, the explanation was he wasn't at his house. He was at a trap or a spot.
But that's not somebody that's in this vehicle?
It turned out to not be. No.
Okay.
No,
this vehicle?
It really turned out to not be. No.
Okay.
No,
this vehicle?
A tragic incident has occurred as a man lost his life due to a series of unfortunate errors by narcotics investigator Richard Russell. The situation unfolded as a result of unreliable information from an informant, compounded by significant lapses in police work.
Now he's got to go to the operation.
So when he came to us, he was unresponsive. I guess by the time they called us, he was already intubated and sedated. But they did a CAT scan of his head and showed a pretty significant brain injury with some, subdural hematoma, which is blood on his brain that seemed like to be causing a lot of pressure on the right side of his head. Just the whole right side of his brain. So we took him to surgery emergently, and to evacuate that hematoma or evacuate that blood. And then his brain was really swollen, so we had to leave his skull off to let room for his brain to swell. We did a CAT scan this morning, and it shows that his injuries had progressed, and it looks even worse, to the point that he's developed a hemorrhage on the left side of his head now that we're planning to take to surgery to take out. And, in the meantime, between that, the pressure in his brain has been very high and uncontrolled with medications.
I didn't know, is Dr. Mabes, are they still in conference room?
No, so
everything shows a pretty severe.
She went to some kind of lecture, so she's gone. And
what about Davis? Is it O'Brien?
Anything else? I saw him a minute ago, but then he sort of disappeared.
No.
Okay. So from what you can tell, he came in, he was already sedated, had a significant amount of blood on the brain on the right side.
On the right side, blood and swelling.
Okay. You did surgery to help release some of that, and then the pressure and everything. You said pressure is still high.
Yes.
So as of right now, he has. Does he still have bleeding on the right side?
He does. It's expanded.
Okay, so he has bleeding on both right side and left side right now. So now he's going to have a second surgery to help with the left side.
Left side, yes.
Okay, all right. Anything I might have forgot to ask you? Or anything else that sticks out?
No.
Any external injuries, anything on the skull externally that you saw?
You know,
I know that's not
it's hard
something.
to tell. I mean, we didn't specifically look for it, to be honest with you, just because we were trying to rush in and
Yeah, well,
do the surgery and everything.
so that's typically something y'all look for, but I was going to ask, just in case something popped out and you
No, not
that you saw. Okay.
Not that I can for sure tell. Because we were all focused on doing the surgery and all that.
And you are directly employed with AU?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Wynn. Have a good day.
This is Agent Mills, located at Richmond County Sheriffs Office. It is Wednesday, November 3rd, approximately 8:09. So you are a nurse at Augusta University?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long have you worked there?
I've worked there for about 4 or 5 months.
Okay. And do you remember if you were working on October 11th, that night shift?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you typically work night shift or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that 7 to 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you remember a patient, Jermaine Jones Jr.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just kind of tell me about that.
So he was brought in by Richmond County Sheriff's Office. I remember I was told by our lead nurse that night that he actually was pulled over by a narcotics officer and he was running because he had drugs. And then he seized on, I wasn't really sure what the seizure happened, but I knew that's why he was being brought in was because he had a seizure and he needed to be medically evaluated.
So were you actually there when he was brought in?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember how he was, if he said anything, or?
I don't remember him saying anything. I just remember he was very combative.
Okay.
And very aggressive.
Okay. Did you talk to any law enforcement that night?
I did not.
Okay. Do you remember, you said he was combative. What do you mean by that? Like, what was he doing?
I just remember he was trying to come off of the stretcher bed.
Okay.
So much, and he was trying to harm our staff, so much to the point we put him in 4-point nonviolent or violent restraints to protect him and our staff.
And do you remember when a patient is combative, who normally deals with that? Is it y'all or security or someone else?
Security is normally there.
Okay.
But like we do the best that we can as well.
Okay. So who would be the one to put him in restraints? Security?
That would have been security.
Okay. So do you remember seeing anything that security did that seemed odd or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So there was some rumors and allegations going around that a security guard had punched him. Did you see anything like that, hear anything like that?
No.
Okay. And so were you like his assigned nurse?
Yes.
Or, okay. Do you remember about how long he was down in the ER before he was sent?
I only probably had him estimated probably like an hour,
Okay.
hour and 30 minutes, and then he got moved to our critical unit with
Okay.
Caroline.
Okay. Do you remember, and if you don't remember it, I mean, I know it was like 3 weeks ago now, it's fine. Do you remember seeing any like external injuries, like bruising or scratches, any bleeding?
I don't remember anything, but I was told by our lead nurse that night that he did have a lac to the back of his head.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I ever heard of.
And by that, you just mean like a cut?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else that you remember?
Maybe I think that's about it.
Okay. Did you have any knowledge if he was on any sort of medications or anything like that, or taking anything?
Prior?
Mm-hmm.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you can think of from that night that stood out, or your interactions with Mr. Jones, or anything you think we might need to know about?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Interview ending at approximately